Hello and welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. Today I am using one color combination on two different cards. I'm using the same products, the same cards, the same materials, but I'm showing it in two different ways because color plays a big part in what's going to pop in your card. So the first thing that I'm using here is the Bold Love die. That was from the January kit. Yeah, January kit from Spellbinders. It was part of the Die of the Month club. And I actually hadn't used it yet, so I wanted to use it. And I didn't want to just cut it out and put it together like, the die is supposed to be used. So what I did first was I actually used my Glimmer hot foil system, and I foiled the outline on black cardstock using gold foil. And I put this in put the plate on the platform itself. And if you haven't ever used the Glimmer hot foil system, I'll link to the video that I demonstrate how to use this. It's really, really easy. Watch your fingers, it does get hot. Pull the foil off, beautiful design here. So now what I wanted to do was actually cut this out. So I imported the image that I just took with my phone, and I imported it into Silhouette Studio. And working with a foiled image on black cardstock to cut out can be a little intimidating because you don't really know whether or not the software is going to pick up the edges properly. This actually, I changed where I took the picture of this. You can see right here where the PicScan matte section is that I did this in a brightly lit area on a white background. And usually when I take this picture, I'm on my cutting mat over on my workstation. But because I'm using black cardstock with a very fine gold outline that we just did with our Glimmer foil machine, I wanted to make sure that the system actually picked this up really well. So that's what I did, was moved it over there in a brightly lit area. Now what I'm going to do, as my dog is evidently going to cough her head off over there, is I'm going to do what we usually do, and I'm going to select the trace area of the image, and you're going to see this, and it's going to be like, oh my gosh, it's wrong. Just click trace. Ta-da! It puts a box around it. Here, let me zoom in a little bit so I can show you. So you have the red line here, and then you have the box around this. I'm going to zoom out. And what you want to do is you want to release that compound path and click on that outside and delete that. This leaves the stuff that's here. And then what you want to do is go ahead and highlight this again and make that all one big path. And then we are going to do an offset. There we go. And we have our outside offsets, and I'm going to leave this at the 1/8 of an inch because it looks really good that way. And I'm going to release that compound path because I don't want it to cut out this middle section here. So I'm going to remove all of those. And then I am going to remove that line that was over top of my foiled image. Make sure that you do that. You've got to go back and delete all of the cut lines that are on top of your foil, or it'll just cut out the image. And that's not what we're doing. We're trying to cut the outside edge of this out. So I'm going to send this over to my die cutting machine, to my Silhouette Cameo. I'm still using the 3. And I am actually using an alternative blade housing and blade, and my Silhouette PicScan mat. I'll link to an article about alternative mats and alternative cutting blades for your Silhouette as well. So let's get back to finishing up this card. Okay, so I cut my foiled image out here so that it looks like it's a die cut. And I am going to now create the letters that I'm going to put on top. I am using gold mirror cardstock to go along with my gold foiling. what I recommend when you die cut mirrored cardstock that's shiny like this, put a piece of typing paper on the top of it. That way it doesn't mar the surface of your paper, because that paper will pick up the creases, indents, cuts, all of that stuff from your cutting plates. And I'm typically really good about using my cutting plate that has the cuts in actually in it, where the cut side of the die is down, and then I have a regular cutting plate, another cutting plate on top that doesn't have any cut marks in it, but it still is a marred surface from just having the imprint of dies and so on and so forth in it. So I still use my piece of typing paper. Now I'm going to layer my letters. So I am cutting the bottom part of the letters in white cardstock. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment here. I am using a small Always stamp from a Hero Arts Smile stamp set. It has a coordinating die too, I think, but I'm not using that. I'm just using the word Always. And I am using a mint color. And I wanted to find an ink that matched the paper. The paper that I'm using is from Paper Tray Ink. And I have my ink swatch charts here, which I will link to below over in my resource library. And I found that the ink from Hero Arts Mint Julep matched the best, because I don't have Paper Tray Ink inks. So I'm going to look into getting some of those cubes. Anyway. So I'm going to trim this little itty bitty teeny tiny sentiment down. One thing that I really do like about this Tonic Tim Holtz paper trimmer is that it does make it super easy for me or anybody to trim down these teeny tiny little sentiments and hang on to them, and they stay in place and all that good stuff. I did not want to just put the black on the background and that be it. So I decided that I was going to use the My Favorite Things bold diagonal stamp, and I'm going to stamp directly onto the card base. My card base is 5x5, and I'm going to stamp directly on that, and I'm just going to use my finger to apply even pressure over all of it so that it has a really good stamped image there. And then I just let it open up all on its own and picked it up off of there. Made sure that it's dry, and I'm going to use some foam tape here. And I'm using a 3-inch roll. Was it a 3-inch roll? Yeah, 3-inch roll from scrapbook.com. And I love this foam tape. This foam tape is awesome. It comes in a bunch of different sizes and widths. And the backing of it peels off really nice, really easy. It's a good height if I want to stack it. There's teeny tiny little strips that are the same height. I love that foam tape. It's amazing. So I put some foam tape behind that, and then I'm going to stack up my letters. Now, at first I was going to offset my letters and do like the gold behind the white, but I didn't like how that looked, so I decided I was going to cut some more letters and stack them up. I also was noticing that my Nuvo Deluxe liquid adhesive was almost out, so I had to come up with something else. And right now in the tight times of there's no local craft stores open, because everybody is pretty much quarantined to their home at this point, especially here in Virginia. We're on a shelter-in-place order. And so I had to find something in my house that I already had. And I had Elmer's Glue All for general craft stuff. The only complaint, it dries matte. It dries fairly quickly. The only complaint that I have about it is that the tip isn't fine enough, and it's not meant to be fine. So, I'm thinking, I wonder if I can put a different top on that and get a finer, line out of it, and it work for what I need it to work for. Because I glued jewels down with this, and you'll see the pictures at the end. It dries completely matte. You can't tell it. And I did crystal clear jewels on this card front, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even tell, because of course some of the glue squirted out of the side of it, because that's just the way that it works. And of course it was on black cardstock, and I was like, oh no, it's gonna show. It's not shiny at all. It's amazingly matte. I'm kind of liking this Elmer's Glue All. Now, it is not archival safe, so I don't think that I would use this for like scrapbooking or anything like that. But for my purposes of making cards, I have no problem with it. And I'm going to say it's a bigger bottle, so I'm going to get more use out of it. So I'll continue to use it. Now, another tip that I have for you today is about a jewel picker. I have the Marvy jewel picker that doesn't have the thing that you roll up. It just has the two hard ends on it. One's red and one's green. And I really like this jewel picker because it doesn't leave, for a lack of a better term, boogers on my stuff. I know that sounds terrible, but that is exactly what I feel like it does. So, it has lost its stick. I've used it for so long my green end has lost its stick. If that happens, you can do one of two things. You can wash it off and see if it comes back, or you can add Zig two-way glue to it and then rub it in your hand a whole bunch to detack it. After this video, I did the two-way glue and detacked it. And it was a little too much adhesive still on it, so I've still got to detack it a little bit more, but that works perfectly. Zig two-way glue, if you adhere something with it while it's still blue, it becomes permanent. If you let it dry and then adhere it, then it's temporary. So I just put it on there on the end of it while it was had already dried, and then I just put my hand on it a couple times and perfect. In the heart shapes on here, I added some glitter pen this is the scrapbook.com glitter pen. On black, this looks like it's a little milky, but it's pretty and it's perfect. So I really, really did like that. It's absolutely gorgeous. So you can see there really quickly, the matte part goes away. All right, so for the second card, we're going to stick with the same exact color scheme. We're going to do the teal, the black, and the gold, and the white. And for this one, I am still using the black for the big love background die here. I'm still using black for that. The first time that I ran it through my die cutting machine, it didn't cut all the way through because the black paper is from Paper Tray ink as well, and it's a little bit heavier than the paper that I had been using. And I just fit the die back over it because it cut way enough. It just didn't happen to cut all of it in certain places. So I just stuck the die back on it, fitted it down really good, and slid it back through my die cutting machine a couple times. It worked great. One tool I cannot live without is my Tool-in-One. Absolutely amazing tool. I love that thing. It makes getting dies out of getting paper out of dies a breeze. Love that thing. Again, I am going to cut some pieces out of gold cardstock here, and I just put another piece of cardstock over top of it instead of the typing paper this time. It was more than enough. It was perfectly fine. You can see where the E and the L is on the paper down here from the cardstock piece that I put on it, but it's not roughed up or anything like that, so it will be fine and I can continue to use it, especially if I'm going to cut it out with these little pieces right here. It's perfectly fine. I just didn't want it to get marred and scurry looking like it would be from the other cutting plate on the back side, because that's some rough stuff looking right there. While I finish this up, I am sheltering in place here in Central Virginia. I want to give a big shout out to any retail workers. Thank you so much for everything y'all are doing in the grocery stores. Be kind to those people. Stay 6 feet away from those people. They don't want to carry this home to their family either. They are the ones that are on the front lines of this right now. Thank you to any doctors, nurses that are out there listening. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything that you are doing. And I want to thank whoever decided to make Tiger King, because that has been the best meme since the cat and the woman screaming at each other. Oh my goodness, that has been some amazing memes out of that. The show, of course, you just watch a train wreck and it is what it is. But if you haven't watched it, I can't recommend it because it's horrible, but like I said, it's a train wreck all at the same time. And if you have watched Tiger King and you have a favorite meme, send me a link to it below, and so I can see it and laugh at it with you, because those have been some amazing memes. Yeah. It just makes me giggle thinking about how amazing those memes have been, and has made sheltering in place a little bit less difficult to do. I haven't even gone outside and like gone walking or anything like that. My craft room, as most of y'all know, or is on the second floor, and it kind of overlooks most of my neighborhood, and I can see, my trees, the trees are blooming over in the woods next to the complex, and I can see the mountains and the nice blue sky. But it has been rainy here. It has been like Seattle rainy here for a while, and it's been weird. And the weather has gone from 40 degrees to 80 degrees in like days. So it's been really, really weird. Anyway, I am still using the Elmer's glue all for this as well. And like I said, the tip is the amount of glue that comes out is the biggest problem for me. And I got glue in the palm of my hand, but I didn't want to stop what I was doing, so I just let it dry and peeled it off like I was in grade school. And I'm taking these little itty bitty pieces and gluing them on the top of the black here, but I'm not covering the outside of the black. I'm just adding these pieces here and there, and I did end up cutting a few more and putting them on there. I did not add any jewels to this. The gold was the part that I kept. For this one, I'm also doing a white card base. It is 5x5 as well. And to cut that, I just took a piece of 8.5 by 11 piece of white cardstock, and I cut it down lengthways to 5 inches, and then I just cut an inch off the length of it, and off the short part of it, and then scored it at 5. So really easy card base to make. For an envelope for that, I don't know, I might do a post on envelopes. We don't talk about envelopes a whole lot. I tend to not even think about envelopes, because I'm really honestly bad about just handing a card to somebody instead of putting it in an envelope. I'm just bad about not putting it in an envelope. And I think a whole lot of times I've made like an interactive card for somebody, and I don't feel like making a big envelope for it to go in. I don't know. Anyway, I put glitter pen on the letters on here, and in the pictures you can really see it. It really stands out. It looks really good. So I'm going to make the white card base for this, and I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did with the other one and put the diagonal stripes on it. And because look how plain that is. Add stripes to it in the mint julep color, and it's perfect. And I'm also going to add the exact same sentiment. So I have a couple things, remember, that you are going to go over to my blog and grab. You are going to get the link to the swatches for your ink swatches, so you can do that, so you can make sure that you're matching up your inks to what you want it to link to do. There's also a video link that I'm going to include below, as well as it was in the video before, of how to use a Glimmer hot foil machine from Spellbinders. And I'm also going to link to the products for the coin pocket pages and the rings that I use for mine. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel here so you don't miss a thing. If you have questions about my fingernails, it is Color Street, and I like them. If you have any questions about crafty stuff, let me know your questions. I am happy to help. I am going to be doing something special towards the end of this month that is encouragement for everything that we have going on in the world right now that you would be able to make cards with. It's going to be really fun, and I can't wait to talk more about that. And then also I'm just working on a lot of different things at the moment, lots of different things. So I will talk to y'all soon. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, don't forget to hit subscribe so that you don't miss a thing from me. And we will see you soon. Have a great day, y'all.